and welcome to coverage of Grand Prix Minneapolis. Maria Bartholdi in the booth, joined by Paulo Vitor Dama-de-Rosa. And we're actually going to start here on this match. We've got Ken Yukihiro and Dan Troja. Ken Yukihiro at 11-1-1, still in contention, as is Dan Troja at 11-2. Diamond Rare, the first play here for Ken Yukihiro, and a Viashino Pyromancer for Dan Troja. This is starting kind of in the middle of the match, actually.
Yeah, I think those are not actually the right player names.
Oh, okay.
I think because Ken Yukihiro was playing blue-black. Right?
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So this can't be him.
Okay, we're going to...
Oh, yeah, it's fixed now.
Okay, here we go. I was going to say, I thought this was going to be the Alex Cinder match. All right.
And Diamond Mare, probably one of the worst cards for Alex Cinder's deck. We said that he actually hated two Plague Mares because he has so many one-toughness creatures. And Diamond Mare blocks all of those and gains some life in the process.
Remorseful Cleric also giving Toru some power in the sky with 2-1 here. Bogart Brute in play for Alex Sittner. And we're going to get in for 2 points of damage here. So we'll tie the life totals up at 18 early on in the game. As I was about to say, both these players still in contention for top 8. The third loss knocks you out of contention here at this tournament. Bogart Brute getting in here with Menace. So no chance for blocks here for Toru.
Yeah, and it seems like Diamond Mare named blue.
Okay.
Because he did not gain a life when he cast a... Oh, maybe he just did it in the other... Yeah, no, I think he led with Diamond Mare, and then he played Remorseful Cleric, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so he didn't gain a life of that, so that must have been blue. Which probably means he has a lot of blue cards in hand. Well, if you were Alex, I don't really know what you do with that information. You know, but it is information that you have.
Alex here considering the follow-up play after the attack with the Bogart Brute. Tormenting Voice. We're going to discard the Ogre here to draw a couple of cards.
Oh, wow. That is an interesting play. I would think you just want to add to the board a little bit. Maybe he didn't want to run into Essence Scatter.
Sure.
That is the one reason that I think he can have. And now Toru Inoue's play really signalizes that he actually does have Essence Scatter or something else, because he missed a land drop, and he could have played Anticipate main phase and didn't. So that means there is something that he potentially wants to play instead, and in this card combination at this spot in the game, I'm really thinking Essence Scatter here.
Absolutely. Important stuff to think about, especially this far into the tournament as we work our way towards the top 8. Another 2 points of damage here. Tie life totals up once again at 16. Remorseful Cleric attacking in the air. Anticipate there to help smooth out Toru's draw. Dawnbreak Cleric here for Toru. Back over to Alex.
Yeah, 1/3 Lifelinker, also not a card Alex Cinder's deck wants to see.
No.
So as much as, this gobbling strategy is, actually quite good when it works, there are a lot of cards you just don't want to see. Right? Plague Mare, 81 3s for 2, Skeleton Archer. Those other cards are very good against Alex Cinder's deck.
How about a Knightly Valor on a Bogart Brute? It's a pretty good target.
Yeah, that is pretty good. And also cannot be Essence Scattered, so Alex Cinder managed to play around that card very well. And especially against an opponent who has mana issues. Because, if your opponent's just making land drops, at some point they'll just be able to cast Essence Scatter and do something in the same turn. So there's no reason to send back my threats. But if your opponent is stuck on 3 or 4 lands, then it's a real cost for them to pass with Essence Scatter mana up. So they're either going to play a spell on their turn or pass with Essence Scatter mana up. And when they do tap out for a spell, which they will have to do because you are ahead on the board, then you can just deploy bigger creatures.
Knightly Valor, just an excellent way at getting around that conundrum. Remorseful Cleric once again chipping in for 2, sitting her down to 14. And Dwindle.
Oh.
Will shrink back down that Knightly Bogart Brute. You may be a knight, but you are very, very small. By the way, I once dwindled some Thornhide Wolves, and I felt I had the full-on flavor win there, as that's a little wolf getting shrunk.
Oh, I thought that was a dog.
Well, I guess. A wolf is a dog.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Rust-Wing Falcon here and Havoc Devils added to the team for Alex.
Yeah, not as exciting as it could have been,
No.
Oh, finally you tapped out. Now I can play
Yeah.
my powerful Rust-Wing Falcon. Though it does trade with the Remorseful Cleric.
That's
so
true.
It does work on this board. And the Havoc Devil is also not that easy to deal with. The way the power and stuff is line up on the board, even if there is a double block from Toro, it would just get rid of the 2 blockers.
So we do know that Diamond Mare, by the way, is naming blue for Toru. I know everybody thinks that it's a cat on Dwindle. I confirmed it with the artist, so I do actually know.
Wait, with the actual artist?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
because I named it the cutest card of M19.
Okay. But it's not the cutest card ever. That we've
No,
already talked
we've
about
established
that as
that.
Gnarled Pack,
Gnarled
right?
Pack, yeah. That is just a fact.
I think Dwindle is kind of sad.
What do you mean?
He's just throwing the dog cat wolf into the
Into the mice cage?
Yeah, into the mice cage. The
Look,
Bog Stomper,
Bog
is that the
Stomper-
actual cutest card in the set? Is that
BDM
what
thinks
BDM
it's
is
Bog
trying to say?
Stomper. All right. I mean, it's pretty cute. It's on the list, BDM.
Yeah, I feel like it's a 6/5, so it's not very cute.
Yeah.
But if you had, if it was just a 1/1 with the exact same picture as Bog Stomper, you'd be like,
That is a
oh,
good
that's
point.
such a cute creature.
That's a good point.
And destroy your planes.
Okay, so this is a card we haven't seen cast yet today. Teutonic Rift is going to destroy the planes. Creatures without flying can't block this turn, so that's a falter type effect, meaning that the only thing that can block for Toru is the Remorseful Cleric, and we're going to get a big swing in here, and Toru's taking a read of that. Yeah, we saw Alex draft this card specifically for this type of deck.
Yeah, and it's much better in this spot than Act of Treason would be. Though Act of Treason actually would just kill the Remorseful Cleric because it would force Toru to sacrifice itself. Otherwise, Alex just gets to sacrifice it himself. So it would still be good in this spot. And those cards occupy kind of the same role in a deck. And it was interesting we got to see Alex decide between one or the other in a draft. And he opted for Tectonic Rift. But I think he might have Act of Treason as well because there were about 100 of them in the draft.
Yes, there were. Looks like Toro is going to take this trade here, Rust-Wing Falcon with the Remorseful Cleric.
Yeah, he ends up, it's not a good
Taking
trade.
8.
Obviously, your 2-mana rare versus their 1-mana, 8th pick or whatever, but you do what you have to. And he could have traded with a 2/2 instead, but then he would just take 1 from that Falcon forever.
Right.
And the 2/2s are going to be pretty quickly outclassed by the rest of Toro Inoue's board once he gets the ability to actually block with them.
Divination here for Toru. Draw a couple of cards, gain a life off the Diamond Mare. 2 mana still available as he's left it up almost every single turn this game, except for 1.
Yeah, that is, and if you're Alex Sidner, you think, well, I played around Essence Scatter all this time. My opponent made a play on turn 4 that made me think they had Essence Scatter, right? Because they didn't cast Anticipate Main even though they were missing land drops. And you can't forget about that now. The Essence Scatter still hasn't been cast. So you have to keep remembering it. Yeah, now we're in a spot where if Alex Sidner has any sort of mass pump, like,
Right.
Inspire Charge or Trumpet Blast or even Make a Stand, blocks could potentially be devastating here for Turner, who could just flat out lose his entire board. Because he has pretty obvious blocks. If you don't consider, the fact that there could be a pump spell in there, he just blocks all 3 creatures with his 3 creatures in this order, and then his opponent just loses a creature and he gains a life. But then your opponent wouldn't attack, right? If that was what they had, that would not have been their attack. So you have to kind of watch out what you block. At the same time, if they do have the charge, you're forced to block the Havoc Devils, otherwise it just kills you.
Toru at a pretty precarious life total in this situation, 6 to Alex Sidner's 14.
Yeah, I like the blocks he had lined up before. The wall on the Devil and then the Chaplain and the Diamond Mare on the Pyromancer. He could actually block the Knight token with the wall because he's going to gain 1 life from lifelink. Even if his opponent has a Trumpet Blast or a Charge, he'll still end up at 1 life, and he won't lose his wall. But then if his opponent has nothing, his opponent is kind of trading the Pyromancer for 4 damage, which is, I think, a play something he doesn't really want. So this is the play that forces his opponent to do something, but also doesn't destroy you when your opponent does do something, as opposed to the play that would just be great, but devastating if there is a charge, which there is.
Yep. So here is Inspired Charge.
And, the Bogar Brute attacks too, which I guess makes sense that
Yeah.
it would, since it's going to do 1 damage, but it wasn't really clear. Yeah, it will be a 1-power creature when at the end of that.
Wow.
So it is going to, get in for 1. He does gain 1 life from the Daybreak Chaplain, so he will stay alive. But the wall won't.
Wall is down. Diamond Mare is the only thing left after the battle for Toru Inoue.
Yeah, so because that attacked, then obviously that's the only... He cannot block in a different way or he would have died. Unless he just threw us away. But yeah.
Okay, Aviation Pioneer will buy him some time here. We're going to gain a life thanks to the Diamond Mare and make 2 more blockers. Still up against the ropes.
Just to clarify, when I said it wasn't clear the Brute was attacking, I meant for me it wasn't
Yeah,
clear that
right,
it was attacking. I'm not saying he didn't say he was attacking or anything like that. So before there's any drama, it is my fault. So.
Leonin Vanguard for Alex Sittner. Another tiny creature. Gets a little bit bigger.
Yeah, and one that he picked very, very aggressively.
Yes.
Like, I think I was watching the draft. He had, all red cards at that point, and he just snatched that up.
There is a Volley Veteran, and finally we see the Essence Scatter out of Toru Inoue's hand.
Yeah, and he does gain 1 life off of that.
True.
So that could potentially change the way he's able to block, because now the Knight doesn't actually have to be blocked.
Back up to 3. So hanging on for dear life here in game number 1 of this match.
Yeah, I feel like if Alex just attacks with Knight and Havoc Devils, Toru Inoue doesn't actually have good blocks. Right, he can't block the Devil with all 3 creatures.
No.
Because he will die. But given that Alex cast a spell into the Essence Scatter, that now gains 1 life and gives Toru Inoue the ability to triple block the Devil, which is the biggest threat in this board. So I don't really love that play from Alex. I feel like the Essence Scatter was really telegraphed, and he actually played around it the entire game. So this was the turn where he also could have played around it and just didn't. Even if he just cast the Veteran after combat, the Diamond Mare might be dead by then.
Sure.
And that will already change the way that Toru Inoue can block, because he will be a 1 favor life.
Havoc Devils and the Knight token attacking in, and here, as you suspected, I think we're going to see that triple block here and go down to 1 for Toru. But getting a big threat off of the table. Diamond Mare and the Thopter token will fall.
Yeah, and that is a block that, again, would not have been possible.
Right.
Had that Essence Scatter not been cast. But it seems like Toru Inoue is just dead anyway.
Yeah, he's been drawing a couple of too many lands here at the end of the game.
Yeah, and this attack from Alex is very free. Obviously, even if there is something in Toru Inoue's hand, it doesn't cost you anything to attack.
Okay, so Alex Sittner will take game number 1 there over Toru Inoue. As we make our way ever closer to the top 8 here at Grand Prix Minneapolis. Blue-white versus red-white aggro. We didn't get to see any of the Goblin synergies there that time around with Alex's deck. We were about to see one with a Volley Veteran, but the Essence Scatter, as you mentioned, got it in the end.
Yeah, and he does... it's not like he has a Goblins deck, right? There aren't that many Goblins. There are two cards that care about Goblins in his deck, right? They're very good ones. I'll give you that.
Okay,
And
okay.
the
That's
Volley
fair.
Veteran is very good in his deck. He has multiple other goblins. He has 2 Goblin Instigators that make 2 goblins each. So that's already pretty good. Has Bargain Brutes. I don't know if he has Motivators or not. But the tribal decks in M19 are not like the tribal decks in other formats. We had Wizards in Dominaria, and that was a deck that could have 12 Wizards and 5 cards that cared about having Wizards.
Yes.
So you'd look at a card like Hilarion Scholar, and you'd be like, well, this card is bad, but it's a Wizard, so I'll play. And we've had that with Clerics, with Allies, with all sorts of tribal formats throughout Magic. This is not one of those formats. This is not a format where you will play a bad card because it's a Goblin or a bad card because it's a Zombie or something like that. But, it so happens that all the Goblins are okay on their own. And so you don't need the synergy for those cards to be good, but it's better if you have it.
Alex Sittner going to take a mulligan here for game number 2. Toru is happy with his opening 7. Blue-white kind of hasn't shown off for us this weekend. And I don't know, in draft at least.
I think it's one of the worst combinations because the issues with blue-white, I think in this format, every combination is valid. So there isn't a combination that I'll look at and I think, wow, that's so bad, you're in this color combination. But I think inside the valid combinations, blue-white is one of the worst because its theme, artifacts, isn't actually well supported due to the fact that artifacts are so bad.
Right.
So you don't have artifacts that you naturally want to play to get those synergies. So you do end up playing cards that aren't necessarily great to make your artifact synergy cards work, and those aren't that great either. So I think the issue here is that, unlike the Goblins who are all good by themselves, the artifacts and the artifact synergy cards are not.
And sometimes you don't draw them in the appropriate order or something like that, and then you just end up with a Fountain of Renewal just kind of sitting there.
Yeah. And we've seen so far we've seen Ken Yukuhiro and Craig Westcott both have Sai Master Thopterist in play for several turns and never make a Thopter, just because there aren't that many artifacts that you can play.
That's true. Daybreak Chaplain in play already for Toru Inoue, and a Bogart Brute for Alex Sittner, a Divination as well for Toru. To kick things off here in game number 2, Alex Sittner currently up a game. Both players in contention for top 8 here. However, a loss could be the nail in the coffin for their top 8 dreams.
Yeah, for Alex Sittner, it certainly would be.
Yeah.
He's
Toru,
not going to make an Adex. Toru still has a shot.
He's got one to give. Toru Inoue of the cancel in his hand. Snapping Drake as well, but we're going to choose to dwindle the Bogart Brute and get in for 1.
Okay, interesting choice too. Could have just played a Snapping Drake. Is ahead on life, but then he wouldn't be able to attack. He wouldn't gain a life. And there are not that many cards in Alexander's deck that actually profitably fight the Daybreak Chaplain. This one does, the 4-2.
Well, we're not going to see any fireworks here with the Volley Veteran. Just comes into play as a 4-2.
Well, but that is clearly not a cat on Dwindle, is it? Why do people think it's a cat?
I don't know. I guess it kind of looks like one if you glance at it. And it's going into a cage with mice. So you would think oh, the mice are having their revenge.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, it's just a dog. We can all agree it's a dog, right?
And there is a Snapping Drake from Toru.
Yeah, and this is an interesting spot, especially in those limited formats full of counter magic. Do you try to deploy your own board, or do you try to wait up and counter something? And the answer is usually, not that clear in a lot of... in a lot of different spots. If you have an Essence Scatter instead of a cancel, then, well, maybe you do wait a turn, because next turn you're going to go land, Snapping Drake, and still have Essence Scatter mana up. But if you're behind on board, and you need 2 turns and, more importantly, 2 lands to be able to play your card and then counter something, then, well, maybe you just have to go for it. But then you might end up in a spot where your hand is full of counter spells, and your opponent just has a much better board. And then what do? They've already played all their creatures. So...
Volley Veteran, we do see getting off a shot here, shooting down the Snapping Drake, thanks to 2 in play. Frilled Sea Serpent from Toru is I was going to say bigger than anything that Alex has going on, but Knightly Valor has something to say about that. On the volley, Veteran. Pumping it up to a 6-4, and bringing along a Knight Buddy.
Yeah, and that can fight the Serpent. I assume we saw an attack from Alex here, and I assume we'll probably see a block for Ontario. No, I guess not. It depends on what kind of answers you have in your deck. You don't really want to disperse the volley veteran either, if you can help it. But yeah, this is a tough spot for Ontario. Though there are many cards he could draw to just get out of it, like another Dwindle. Oh, there it is.
There it is. Dwindle number 2 locks down the volley veteran that had been dubbed a Knight. 3 mana available for cancel for Toro 2 that we know he's keeping in hand out of one of his 2 cards.
You know what is in Alex's hand? Banefire.
Really?
That can't be canceled.
Oh, no.
So I think if we just, the game will stall for a while. Alex will attack in the air for 1. But at some point, Alex Sitter is going to get to 7 lands, and then he could just Banefire away the Serpent, and there's nothing that Toro, can do about that. Since, Banefire for 5 or more cannot be countered.
So Toru's life total is currently 12. 5 lands in play for Alex. Dwindle doing some work here in this game.
Yeah, but at the same time, we've seen the drawback of Dwindle several times.
We have,
right? Throughout this matches. Like we saw, for example, Ken Yukihiro make a copy of a card that was Dwindled, whereas that was removal spell. He wouldn't be able to do that. And we saw the Bogger Brute attack for 1 last game, which it wouldn't be able to do if it was a removal spell. So while Dwindle clearly a good card, and especially a good card in those decks full of flyers, not really a removal spell in the most strict sense of it. It does get rid of an attacker, but does not stop the card from being in play, which is relevant in this format.
Alex Sittner's army continues to grow here. Gallant Cavalry brings yet another Knight token to the creature count for him here.
Yeah, at some point, Alex Sittner is just going to have a critical mass of creatures and will be able to attack anyway. But 12 life is plenty of life, so he doesn't... We'll see if he was to throw away a part of his board to deal some damage.
Remotes for Cleric for Toru. Yeah, I sometimes think I panic too much about my life total.
You do? So you block too much, you mean, or?
Maybe I just start to get worried about it too quickly. Whereas people who are more control players are like, this is a resource, and I'm fine with letting it dwindle, as it were.
I feel like I have the opposite problem. I'm like, yeah, I'll take it. What's the worst that can happen? Oh, yeah, I died. Well, that's too bad. At least I didn't lose my creature.
Yeah.
There is this saying, death before dishonor, where if you have like a great creature, you put an attack, you're like, I'm just not going to block. I need my creature. And then you're like, well, you're dead. And they're going, oh, yeah, death before dishonor. Yeah, so assuming Alex draws a land, which means he can actually Banefire for 5. So his opponent would be at 7 life, and effectively 8, because you're going to gain a life here. So can he push 8 damage through? And here
we go.
He's clarifying if the creature is actually attacking. So here, Torino can ignore any sort of, Inspired Charge or Tremor Blast because he does have that cancel in hand. So he can just block as if that didn't exist.
Yeah, the speed with which he's making these blocks is a lot quicker than last time when he didn't have access to that counter magic.
Yeah, there's a chance Remorseful Cleric is better off just blocking a Knight, or a Knight token at least, in a spot like this, rather than the Falcon, because the Pegasus means that the Falcon is not getting through for chip damage, but he decides that it's better to just take an extra damage here. There could also be a double block, like the Pegasus and the Chaplain could team up to kill a 2/2 instead of killing a 1/1 each. But if you are playing against this go-white decks, which those red-white decks tend to be, then it's better to take away multiple creatures from the board.
Yeah, and that's a good point. Important to remember how you're blocking based on the colors and the type of deck your opponent is in, and not strictly just which ones seem best based on the stats of the creatures.
Yeah, and here, Toro is going to take 5 damage after lifelink is factored in. So
Sure strike here.
Oh,
Will
wow.
lead things off.
Wow, now if Toru just allows that because
Yep.
he has cancel, right? Then he might just die to Banefire
Banefire.
next turn. So he has to be a bit careful. I believe they have deck lists.
They
so
do.
he should know about the Banefire in Alexander's deck. And this is a play that is telegraphing Banefire if I've ever seen one. And it's also a heads-up play by Alexander to
Absolutely.
to play the Sure Strike on the real creature instead of the token. So if it does get bounced by like a Disperse, at least he will get his Cavalry back in hand, which is much better than getting a token back in hand. So Toru could attack for 1 if he wants to gain a life and go to 5, but that's still inside Banefire range. So there's a timer here, and that timer is Alexander drawing 1 land.
Yeah.
So it's not looking good, because if Alexander isn't drawing a land, that means he's drawing a spell every turn for the foreseeable future, and there's not a big clock here. And it's not like Torino can just attack for 2 to gain a life. You know, there's still several creatures in Alexander's board, so he has to take that into account too.
All right, here's the draw step for Alex.
Alex could cast Banefire now. You know, that is lethal. It's a Banefire for 4. Oh, that will prompt the cancel already.
Yeah. Tectonic Rift gets canceled.
I don't believe he would have cast the Banefire, even if he hadn't drawn the Tectonic Rift. It doesn't make any sense to just do it now. You'd better wait for 1 more land and make it uncounterable, which I'm sure he would do, and probably will do if he doesn't draw a land here. Though he does have lethal damage already.
There it is, and there's the Banefire, and there's the handshake. Alex Sittner taking down this match 2-0 over Toru Inoue, who now has 2 losses, but also has a draw. And so Alex Sittner remains in contention for the top 8. Well, that was pretty cool. Kind of really interesting play there, using the Sure Strike to kind of make sure things are okay, and then the Tectonic Rift, and then the Banefire. All right, more Magic coming your way in just a second. Stay put. Minneapolis, Maria Bartholdi, Paulo Vitor Dama here hanging out with you as we watch some core set draft from GP Minneapolis. And now we're going to get a chance to watch a match between Makis Matsoukas and Thiago Saporito. And we did not get to watch their drafts, so I'm going to be completely going in blind to this match here, Paulo, find out what our players drafted at the table. Let's head on down. Both players sitting at 11 and 2, so they cannot lose here or they are out of contention for top 8. Goblin Motivator will kick things off for Thiago Saporito, who is going to immediately crash in with a walking corpse for 2 damage. Black-red aggressive start for Thiago. Probably just where he wants to be in those colors.
Yeah, Black-Red, a pretty aggressive deck in this format, which is very different from the Black-Red that we saw in Dominaria.
Yes.
Which was a grindy type of
That's
Black-Red.
true.
Oh my god, look at that.
Wow.
That's so much power in play by turn 3.
Dumping his hand onto the table, Field Creeper. And another 2-2 coming in tap, Diregraph Ghoul.
And a pass from Makis Matsoukas, so this could be one of the faster games we've seen so far.
Okay.
Wait, what?
Why not the Motivator?
What just happened? I don't know. Oh.
Oh, I see. Vampire Neonate here is going to get haste and drain for one. So, I mean, like, either way you do it.
Yeah, I mean, you gain a life that way.
That's true. Yeah, and Makis Matsoukas unfortunately constrained on mana, so not much of a game there at all. But Thiago Saporito is going to just fly away with that one.
Yeah, good game. Both sides played hard.
Yeah, well fought, both teams.
Yeah.
Goblin Motivator here, not going to motivate anybody except himself this turn, getting in for a 1. Matsoukas will fall down to 19. Neonate here on 2.
Yeah. Is Matsoukas finally going to play a spell?
All right, let's see a spell. Gift of Paradise.
Kinda. I feel like you just played a land there.
Yeah.
That doesn't really count, Makis Matsoukas. You'll have to do better than that.
We want to see a creature. Motivator once again getting in by itself, super lonely out there. It wants to just give a motivational speech, but nobody's listening. Already 5 mana available to Matsoukas this turn, though.
Yeah, and he does have a dragon in hand.
Ooh.
Well, not that one, a different one.
A different one. Oh, okay. Sparktongue Dragon here will kick things off.
Yeah, I believe he has Vivictus Asmati the Dire in hand.
Vivictus Asmati, and he's got mana fixing already available. Nice.
Yeah, he's 1 mana short.
2-headed zombie will be given haste this turn by Thiago.
Yeah, and Thiago's draw,
Yeah.
significantly worse than the one in the previous game, but still pretty okay. I don't think Makis is actually. Oh, that's gonna put a stop
to it. Vivictus Asmati. Now that we have a Draconic Disciple on the table, next turn we could be seeing the Elder Dragon come to the party.
Oh, that was really good for Thiago. Now he has a pretty clear attack here. And you wonder if Makis Matsoukas should have attacked with that Sparkling Dragon. There's a chance that he would have been better off staying back, given that Thiago can play anything and give it haste. So this was the worst case scenario because it was a 3/3 attacker that also got rid of a blocker, which stopped a double block of 1/1s into the 2-headed zombie. So, but I think like you have to play for the worst case scenario here. I also think those life totals aren't necessarily right. Because he took 4 last turn, and he had taken damage before. Oh, no, he gained 3 from Gift of Paradise. Okay, that's why.
Okay, so we've sacrificed most of our board here. No land for Makis, including the Draconic Disciple. So we're not going to be able to cast Vivictus this turn, but we are going to play a Daggerback Basilisk and a Wall of Roots.
Yeah, that is probably a sideboard card, which I totally understand given how game 1 went.
Yes, that's true.
And here Thiago did not play the Epicure of Blood before combat, even though he could have just given it haste.
Hello, I'm here, Vivictus Asmati the Dire. Elder Dragon hits the table, 6/6 flyer.
Oh, wow. Now I'm really excited for future Elder Dragons so we can see what they sound like when they enter play.
Yeah, no problem. I'm here for that.
I'm looking for it.
Whenever Asmati, by the way, attacks, for each player, choose target permanent that player controls. Those players sacrifice those permanents. Each player who sacrifices a permanent this way reveals the top card of their library and then puts it into the battlefield if it's a permanent card.
Yeah, it is one of those, red rare abilities. There's always a red rare in the set that does something like shuffle the board and reveal top cards, and no one really knows what it does. But this time around, it's actually very good. So what it does is, in effect, you sacrifice one of your lands. That's what it does all the time. And you kill their best card.
Right.
And then when that happens, you both flip the top card. And if it's a permanent, you replace those cards with that. So, yeah, he's going to get rid of Epicure of Blood, which was a really good combo with the two Vampire Neonates. You know, it will deal its 2 damage before it departs. And he's going to get rid of his own forest, and now both players are going to Mind's Desire for 1 for a permanent.
All right, so what's it going to be on the top of the deck? Lightning Strike. Ooh, and a mirror image.
That is definitely better than Lightning Strike, and the card does stay there.
We can't copy our dragon unless we want to give it vigilance.
Yeah, you can copy the Sparkling
Spark
Tongue Dragon, and it is not when you cast, it's when you play it. So you do get to use it's not a kicker, you know, it's a come into play ability. The good news for Thiago is that he's going to keep the Lightning Strike on top. The card does not go away.
Oh, that's true.
Though I'm not convinced it's actually great in this spot. Realistically speaking, he is just deading 2 turns. So given that that card is not an answer to a Victim's Asmati, then I'm not convinced you actually want it. Now, Makis is in an interesting spot. Does he even use the ability for 5 Victim's Asmati? Just doesn't have to.
It's a bit of a risk.
Yeah. At the same time, is that Palladium Wars in his hand? Are we going to
What?
It might not be. I really hope it is, because then we'll get a new sound effect.
Oh, you absolutely will.
No, it's not.
Oh, dang it.
That's disappointing.
I was getting ready. Another Spark Tongue Dragon here for Makis.
It's a dragon theme deck.
I love it.
Is there Dragon Ward?
We need
Spit
Dragon
Flame?
Horde, Spit Flame, Dragon's Egg.
Yeah, we do have Draconic Disciple too. Though
That's
that
true.
didn't actually make a dragon. That is one of my favorite classes in Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh yeah?
The Dragon Disciple.
Well, that's pretty cool.
I'm not actually up to speed with the new classes and how they work, but back when I played, it was like a sorcerer subclass.
Field Creeper kicks things off here for Thiago Saporito in game number 3 versus Makis Matsukis. All tied up, 1 game apiece. Diagraph Ghoul. And the Pumpkin Boy in play for Saporito. And Elvish Rejuvenator for Matsukis. Here, can block our Field Creeper.
You can't do that. Yeah, that is a problem with those, some of the cards you're forced to play in this type of aggressive deck, that they're often outclassed by cards like the Elvish Rejuvenator or the Goblin Instigator even, or, Dave Blake's Chaplain and cards like that. And it's interesting that Thiago Saporito offered the trade. So that probably means he doesn't have, for example, Skeleton Archer in hand. Because if he did have that, he would just wait a turn and cast it.
Wow, very aggressive red-black deck from Thiago. I like it. And here's a Transmorgifying Wand onto the table to join those 2 ghouls.
Yeah, Transmorgifying Wand, a very good card. We'll get rid of, the next 3 dragons that Makis plays. There is a Lathliss in his hand.
Oh!
Does that get a sound?
Lathliss? Sure,
yeah,
sure.
Okay. The downside is that if there's ever a 2/4 for Makis, that is basically as good as a dragon against Thiago's deck. So you're not really upgrading much. I'd say downgrading much.
The spider would have just lost reach.
Yeah.
That would have been it.
And getting any creature turned into a 2/4 is kind of the dream for Makis Matsukis against this 2/2 board.
Yeah, absolutely. These ghouls are not going to get in. They need a little bit of help last turn to even get through that spider.
Okay.
Gutter Snipe.
Yeah, and Vampire Neonate, so 2 cards that actually threaten a decent amount of damage.
Gutter Snipe, really capable of dealing quite a bit of damage if you build your deck correctly around it. I know I've got dinged for about 6 from that card before.
Yeah, and we already know Thiago Saporito has Lightning Strike, for example.
Yep.
So that represents 5 damage. And, 1 a turn from the Neonate. Makis Matsukis is kind of on a clock here.
Electrify from Matsukis on the Gutter Snipe.
And wall. The wall.
Okay, here's the wall. Your 2/2s can attack, really. Also a Havoc Devil's in play. There's a two-headed zombie from Saporito.
Yeah, Gift of Paradise here for Makis Matsukas, which is going to be very good because he has mana problems and he would really like the 3 life. He probably does have to just play the Mirror Image this turn. I don't think he can afford to just pass and try to get a better card to copy. I think he just needs to add to the board, given that Thiago has, several creatures, one of which is a 4/2 Menace. So if Makis just passes the turn here, then Thiago can just kill one of the creatures and attack for 4, and I think you cannot afford to do that. So this is a spot where, you have 3 dragons in your hand, literally 3 dragons. So
yeah.
you can be, you don't have to be greedy here with your Mirror Image. Just turn it into a 4/3 and you're fine.
Yeah, and there we see the trade-off, too, with the two-headed zombie. And a use from the Transmogrifying Wand on the Havoc Devils. That was the Mirror Image creature in play. Now an Ox. So we've got one of those counters down or off the wand from Saporito.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see if Makis Matsukas actually plays a dragon here into the wand. I think he probably should because, that exchange is going to happen anyway. It's not like he's going to wait for 12 mana to play both dragons in the same turn.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't mind having a 2/4. Like, I think the way he loses this game is if he just starts taking a lot of damage. He's at a very, very healthy 16.
Vivictus immediately transformed into an Ox.
Yeah, Thiago has amassed quite a collection of, mediocre zombies in
yeah.
play. And they look especially mediocre when faced against 2/4 Oxes.
Wow, this would even be a better deck with Liliana than one we saw earlier today.
Oh, that would be so good. Yeah, Liliana here would, I don't know, it would be excellent. Every creature that Thiago has played almost this game is a zombie.
And a Death Baron, while we're at it.
Yeah, Death Baron would allow for a very, very good attack through all of those Oxes. It would turn all his 2/2s into 3/3 Death Touches. And now I do think he should not play Latlas. He should probably just play the
He's
gift.
got the Spark Tongue or the Draconic Disciple.
Yeah, I think he should wait with the Spark Tongue. And then, the Spark Tongue will already probably prompt the one. Maybe not. Thiago is at 22. 22 is a lot. He can take a bunch of, 3 damage hits. But I think if you just play Latlas here, you're turning it into a 2/4. That's what you're doing. And you kind of want to bait Thiago to use that one on something that is, slightly worse than the Dragon Queen.
Yep, and here's Spark Tongue Dragon. And we're going to pay to take down the Vampire Neonate. Not before it gets off a couple of life, though.
Yeah, and things look like they've kind of gotten away from Thiago here. Short of having some sort of dragon of his own, it doesn't look like... He's not going to break through in the ground at this point. He has 4 2/2s against 2 2/4s, a 0/3, a 3/3.
Oh, here's a Ravenous Harpy.
Oh, yeah, that could be good.
We're going to give that haste and attack. 3 mana still available for Thiago, so...
We might see a block with the Wall of Vines here to force Thiago to sacrifice 2 creatures, and then Makis Matsukas can actually start attacking.
All right. Wall of Vines jumps in front of the Harpy, and we're going to sacrifice 2 creatures. Tasty Meal for the Harpy gets a couple of counters. Wall of Vines down, but still a counter on that Transmogrifying Wand.
Yeah, Thiago, I think it's good to not use the wand on the Spark Tongue Dragon. The attacks for Makis Matsukas are okay. They're not even that great. He gets to deal 5 damage, but he trades a 2/4 Ox for a 2/2 zombie, which isn't ideal. But we might see the Dragon Queen here now just to be turned into a 2/4, which will actually halt the entire offense.
Okay, so yeah, like you said, one of those zombies trades off for an Ox. And Havoc Devils here. And Viashina Pyromancer will ding Thiago for 2. So Matsukas is trying to hang on as long as he can to that Latlas.
Yeah, and I don't think Thiago can attack here anymore. He's just going to take so much damage if he hits for 3. But at the same time, his black-red aggro, how is he going to win if he doesn't attack?
Right.
It's not going to get much better for him. Unless, he has cards like Actor Treason, that would be a really good card right now. Because he gets to, steal it and sacrifice it for the Harpy.
Skeleton Archer will ping the Viashino Pyromancer into the graveyard. And I mean, a 3/3 body's not nothing, I guess, here.
Oh, no, it's very relevant. It kind of stops the entire offense. It can block the Havoc Devil, or it can block the Ox. And realistically speaking, it's probably just going to trade to the Havoc Devil, but that's a turn that the Ox is not going to attack.
Tiago out of cards, living life off of the top of
Tiago,
his deck.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Oh, he did it.
No.
On his own creature, though. All right, so a zombie is now an Ox, and oh boy.
Yeah,
he's going to
you can hardly blame him. Who plays around the other rare dragon? You've seen so many dragons already.
And here she is, Latlas, the Dragon Queen. Onto the table.
I can't wait for Chromium. Someone please open Chromium into top 8.
And in Max's deck, just insane. We know he has 2 Spark Tongue Dragons. He has Vivictus Asmodi. He has Lathless. He has Draconic Disciple, which makes another dragon. Oh, good grief.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to lie. It's not looking great for Brazil.
No, sadly.
I mean, Tiago still has potentially the biggest creature on the board, right? That Harpy does become bigger, but Latlas just bumps everyone, so Latlas can actually beat it in combat. It will trade, but Tiago's going to lose his entire board, and Makis will lose just Latlas. Yeah, he can make the Sparkthorn Dragon into a 7-power flyer. So that is already enough to trade with the Harpy.
So here we go, Lathless getting in with Spark Tongue Dragon for Matsukis. And decision time here for Tiago on how he wants to use this Ravenous Harpy.
Yeah, I mean, if he takes all the damage, he just dies. So
Ravenous Harpy will jump in front of the Spark Tongue Dragon, and Lathless will help her Dragon team spit more fire.
Yeah, they will just trade. Tiago could have sacrificed his other 3 creatures to kill Latlat, but then he wouldn't win. So he's banking on drawing a removal spell for that one. So he's just going to take a bunch of damage this turn, and he's going to give himself a 1-turn window to draw something like a Lecherous Caress. Actor Treason is not even going to do it anymore now because the Harpy is already gone.
So big swing there knocks Tiago down to 3. And here we go. This will at least buy him some time. Demanding Dragon, an easy sacrifice of a Goblin creature token for Matsukis.
That's the saddest demanding dragon ever, though.
I know.
It's killed a Goblin token, which is the worst possible. And then it's just going to chump block Lathless.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And there's a shock in hand for Matsukis too. Chump there from the Dragon on the Lathless. And there is a handshake. Makis Matsukis winning 2-1 over Tiago Saporito. So still alive here for our top 8 at GP Minneapolis.
Yeah, with probably what is the most dragon deck I've ever seen in this format. We've seen people play dragons. Some people had Sarkhan. But Makis Matsukis had a lot of them, and the Disciples, and even the Dragon Queen, all the synergies. So that's a pretty cool deck.
That was pretty cool. I really enjoy when strategies like that come together. We got to see something pretty cool on the table from Makis Matsukis. Tiago Saporito's deck was actually pretty cool too, in kind of a different way, low to the ground. I don't know if I've ever seen that many zombies on the table. Certainly, I've never seen that many Diregraph Ghouls in play at the same time.
Yeah, he had a lot. Yeah.
All right, well, we've got more Magic coming your way in just a minute. Don't go anywhere. Here from GP Minneapolis.